realised that it's actually 3 p.m. in the UK, 10 a.m. Eastern, and I want to say welcome myself to Bridgetti and Lottie. Hello.
Hey, Stephen.
Hello.
Thank you for having us again.
Oh, you're more than welcome. It's always a pleasure, and we always have a light-hearted but informative discussion. But it's obviously improved by the presence of. We're rating 3, 2, 1 as everybody joins us, and we are finally joined from Sarnia in Canada by David Burrows. Hello,
Hey.
David.
Hey, coming to you live from London, Ontario. Actually.
Hello from Cape Town.
And hey from Dublin, Dunleary Island. We're really covering the confidence today. We really are.
Yeah, we're global today, most definitely. And we've got a mix of Mac and PC and mobile phones, and it's all working great. And that's what we want to continue. Now, today's topic is camera confidence. And, well, who would like to start? Okay.
Are we going to do a head?
You never know.
Ladies first.
This being my baby, you never know me to be shy on this, but it's funny. I've just, you and I were chatting beforehand, and you surprised me. Bless you. I always love the Shakespeare quote that all the world's a stage and the men and women merely players. And the key thing to me is that we are here to play and, yes, have some fun. We're also here to learn, but learn through having fun, making connections, engaging with people, engaging with communities, but doing so for a purpose and a reason. And that's why I really wanted to be here with you guys today.
I love that, Lottie, because it was one of the ways in which I gained my camera confidence as well. I mean, I cannot begin to tell you just how petrified I was in the beginning when I started live streaming. You know, like I would be doing this, hello, you know, like half holding my breath while I was talking on camera and trying to breathe through the feeling of, you know, like there's this deep black hole that I'm going to fall into. And when I learned, and I love this phrase that you've coined about going live for a purpose, because that's exactly where my camera confidence came from, is when it finally dawns on you that it's not about you. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with the reason why you are on camera and why you are going live. And once that became a reality for me, once I was focusing on my topic for conversation, it was like the confidence gradually with every single show just became better and better and better, because I was no longer focused on myself and me and how I looked and what the audience thought of me, because it had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with my content, for my purpose, my reason for being on camera.
Yay.
Yay.
Oh, does that mean it's my turn?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
You know, it's a hot topic. I don't know if hot topics are right to explain it, but I even had a student yesterday, we talked about this, and I said, who here is not comfortable yet of getting in front of the camera? And they kind of, yeah. I said, what is it? What are you worried about? And he's like, well, I suck in front of the camera. And I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? Like, it's, people are just overthinking it, really. It's the confidence, you know. I've been an entertainer for 30 years, so, you know, I'm used to performing. So, well, David, I'm not like you. Well, that's okay. You don't have to be like me. Be like you. Just be you. Just be regular. Just be, okay, okay, make sure you look at the camera and make sure you smile. But you know what? Don't worry about it. Just start. I've always said you got to have an episode 1, and then you'll get to episode 300. So just be you. Just have fun. Get down to the fundamentals. do it with people who are like-minded like you and have fun with those people. Oh, my hair's out of place, or I didn't shave today, or, you know, it really doesn't matter. Just be you and have fun. That's the key, I think, to getting in front of the camera.
Somebody once said, you have to be you because everyone else is taken. So I go along with that theory. You've got to make it personal. You've got to be relaxed. And that means, first of all, you've got to decide who you are and what type of show you're going to have.
Yeah.
And it's the way that you have a passion for the topic that you're talking about that comes across through the screen. And we know 3 people who, when they come on screen, they own it. And I'm going to name them now. And they are Jeff Adams, and who else would we name? Who comes to mind?
Owen Video.
Video?
You know, Owen, when Owen comes in front of the camera, he just totally owns the space. I mean, Owen is known for going like in front of the camera. You know, who doesn't know that about Owen? I mean, that's kind of his trademark. He has a presence that's hard to copy. And I think that's something I want to, you know, that you just mentioned there a minute ago. Don't try and be like someone else. It's hard work trying to be someone else. Be you. Find your own space. Find your niche. Find your own identity. Find a way of owning your own space when you're on camera. Just be yourself, because you're not going to be comfortable trying to be someone else.
So I can't be like Molly Mahoney and I am singing.
That's the third of the trio.
That's another one. That's it.
And when I'm around, you know what's great about what she does there is when I'm around the house doing stuff, I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm singing like Molly Mahoney. And my wife's like, who's that?
It's funny. I was actually thank you, David, for jumping in and throwing a female name in there, because I was actually going to go. Luria Petrucci is one of the people. Marie Smith, however you pronounce her name, whatever part of the world you're from. I always say Marie Smith. She's one of the people that just immediately is there. And David, were you pointing at me, or were you going, Lottie? Have you done a Lottie and not turned off your mute button?
Lottie. Lottie owns the camera.
Well, and that's the thing, though, David. You were saying it with your students. I don't know what age your students are. Are they young, or are they
18 to 20?
Okay, because there's a lot of people I've found, the discussions that I've had. I work with people probably like you, all sorts of ages. And people always go, yeah, but these young ones, they've grown up with machines in their hands and phones in their hands and all blah, 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 blah. No, sorry. I grew up when there was probably potentially more live television for kids' TV than there was of non-live TV.
Yeah.
Sarah Fox, our Live Legal's UK queen, she reminded us ages ago that in 1950s, when BBC started with David Attenborough, it was live, and pre-records didn't really be big in fashion until the 70s and 80s. When that kind of snap, edit happens. And people think that viewers don't have the attention span to watch somebody. But when, as Bridgetti was saying as well, and as I was alluding to at the very beginning, it's the mixture of learning to play with your sense of purpose, because, hey, no matter what's going on in here, I've actually just yesterday had some horrific news for myself, health-wise, that I don't know the full story. So part of my brain is going, scared, panic. The other part is going, I just want to sit and drink champagne with my husband and cry my eyes out. But that's not what I bring to camera right now, because I know for me, this is important to truly help other people. And I think when the names that we've all mentioned there, people are going to go, whoa, they might be big personalities. I love when I see Ai Addison Zhang from Korea, or Bridgetti talking about her water causes, or Stephen sharing his beautiful tech knowledge. RJ on Monday wasn't even talking about chatbots, but the 3 of you talking about the tech tools. So many people go, oh, tech, oh.
Yeah.
But this, this is a conversation, and it's a conversation with friends in a way that your friends can want to see you and can understand and want to go, yay, I'd love to hear some more, please. Please, sir, can I have some more?
Well, I think you make a really good point there when you say it's just a conversation. You're just having a conversation. When I do large speaking engagements to a large audience, I'm just having a conversation to a whole bunch of people. But I really just imagine in one person, it's you and me, maybe it's a group of friends that you would be considered a round table. We're having a round table discussion here today about whatever topic we've chosen to talk about. It keep it simple. Just press the go button, and you'll look back and you'll go, oh, my hair was out of place. Or actually, one of the things about live, especially that my students said was, when it's live, I feel like I'm going to forget something I wanted to mention. You probably will. Don't worry about it. Go back, watch, and just have fun, folks. It really is key. And when you bring the right people together, if you're going to do it, bring some friends on with you. Just a conversation.
That's a great point that you mentioned. Then I want to, that's I think how I gained my camera confidence and how I explain it to people. You're basically having a one-on-one conversation with someone else, or 2 or 3 or 4 other people on camera, and you focused on only those people, as if you're talking to them in a conversation, as if you're in the same room almost. And the only difference is that you've got other people that's listening in onto that conversation. But your conversation, you are more conversational if you're trying to focus. It's the same as when you're doing talking in front of a crowd of people. You focus on one person in the audience at a time, as if you're having a conversation with just that one person. Don't even think about the hundreds or thousands or millions of people that's viewing the video. That's just,
what? There's all that
why do that? Yes, why do that to yourself? Focus on just the people you're talking to, and keep an eye on the comments so that you don't ignore your audience. But I mean, that's a whole nother level of camera confidence, is once you've mastered the art of being able to speak to your co-hosts that you're having the conversation with. Once you've mastered that, you can now move on to where you pay more attention to your audience and involve them in. It's a process. So I think don't beat yourself up when you're starting out, because none of us were perfect. I mean, when I look back at my first videos, I sucked. I really sucked. I mean, I think, oh my goodness, can I bury my head in the sand? Was that really me?
Riding a bicycle is similar in the sense of, the first time you rode a bike, you fell down a bunch of times, right? But you didn't just fall down and go, you know what, this bicycle thing sucks. I don't think I'm going to keep riding that bicycle. You got on the bike, and maybe mom or dad or a brother or sister held onto the back, and you were really shaky, right? You were like this. And then as you got going, you got a little comfortable. Then you were like, hey, this is pretty good. Next thing you know, you were going, one hand. Next thing you know, you're going, hey, Ma, look at me going down the road, no hands at all, right?
Know that David Burrows was going to be cycling with no hands, Ma.
And then you were popping wheelies, and the point is, you started. I see, I think I saw, Steven, I saw a comment from Alfredo out there. I don't know if you can bring that back up again. Maybe you want to kind of attack.
He's going to thrash you at chess very soon or something like that, David. I'm not quite sure if I saw that one.
Oh, at chess. Oh, boy. Confidence takes practice, which I need to practice my chess to play David Burrows someday. So here's the thing, though. Alfredo talks about confidence takes practice. Everything takes practice. What's the practice? Practice is just doing. Practice makes perfect. No, it does not. Practice enhances from where you started. The more you do it, the more... I can tell you, honestly, when I first started DJing, when I was 18 years old, because I lied about my age in the bar, I had to get on the microphone and I had to go, and welcome tonight. We got drink specials that are blah, 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 blah. Could you imagine Dave Burrows being afraid to talk on a microphone?
Not now. Not now. No, sirree.
Can't shut me up sometimes, right?
If he'd been a DJ in the UK or Ireland, he would at 18, he would have been fine. He would have been there. Or anywhere in Europe, he would have been all right. He's legal. It's
So
okay.
the point was, is I started, and I was frightened once I got going, and then I put some effort into it. I went, okay, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? But now, years later, it just becomes a natural skill. But it was not always like that. You have to start somewhere. Alfredo, I'm going to pick on him because I know him well. Alfredo, you need to just start doing it and just keep doing it. And the more you do it, you will get better. And I promise you, if you do it on a regular basis, I will play you a game of chess. I promise.
There you are. You've just been you've just been christened the Evil Knievel.
The Evil Knievel of Facebook Live.
I like that. I think
What was that comment that just popped up from Roz a second ago? Because that was a great comment there from Roz.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, it's about, I love that. Practice is extending the experience. There's conversations we've been having recently about how if we don't actually, because a lot of people, part of the reason, I don't know, your world, Bridgetti, and David and Stephen, people don't learn because they don't want to see themselves. 60% of people do not want to see photographs and don't like photographs of themselves. And it's even higher when they've got their sound. Part of the reason we don't like seeing ourselves is that visual impact. The other part is that when we hear ourselves through a machine, we lose 60% of how we hear ourselves.
Yeah.
So we don't have the lovely echo of the water and the fluids in our body. So our voice sounds completely different.
That's not how I sound.
Radio, exactly. David doesn't sound like that at all. David's had to learn that as a radio DJ. But that's why in the UK in the 80s, you had radio DJs talking like this.
Hey, how you doing?
Bridgetti. I used to be that as a Steven presenter. But we don't do that anymore because we don't have to. But what we do is go back and watch, look, listen. I always get people when they're doing reviews of themselves to watch minimum 3 times. First time, watch it all. Think of positive words. If somebody was going to describe you, what words would they use to professionally describe you? Bearing in mind that if you're doing this for a business or for a purpose, professional and approachable are 2 that you want to have as automatic words. So what words would you write down? Kind, generous, giving, sharing. Write them down for yourself as if you're somebody else, a little angel watching you from the other side. Then turn the sound off. Look at what's your body doing. What are you doing? Then close your eyes and listen and hear your voice. Is the voice matching? We've done this before. I'm excited. I'm really excited to be here. Pick some words, listen, and then go back the 4th or 5th time and look at it and go, okay, now overall as a whole, what's working for me? What could be better? And finally, and not until the 5th time you watch it, are you allowed to look at the technicals. I decided to bring them a blue backdrop today, David, because they've all got lovely green screens and backdrops behind them. Do you need to be like Bridgetti in her beautiful office, Stephen with his green screen, I brought my pop-up, or are you happy doing what David's doing, sitting by a window in the corner of the cafe because that's what he's got to do? What works for you? Please.
Stephen, I want to hear some of your thoughts, buddy, because I know you've got some great thoughts on this.
Thoughts? I'm just producing this show.
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm very grateful to Lottie, actually, because I read, as I said earlier to Lottie, half her book on the way over to Dublin, and in the hour before the show I was reading the rest of it, and we'll give a link to the book and a link to something else which is of interest to us at the end of the broadcast, the link to the challenge for Ladies Go Live, and hopefully we'll reach that later. I think that the one thing that we all need to have in some way is, I'm going to set Lottie off here, and that's charisma. because charisma is a key word. We talked at the top of the show, we talked about 5 or 6 people who we recognize to have it. In other words, they reach out to the screen, they grab you, they bring you in. But if everybody broadcast in that way, then we'd be far poorer for it. We all have to develop our own style of broadcasting, and it's something that works for you. You've got to be yourself. And
Stephen, just interjecting on that, you said you were going to set me off. One thing on that is people always say the biggest question when I bring up the 3 C's, confidence, credibility, charisma, is, but I don't have any charisma. I'm like, have you got a friend? Have you got somebody in your family who likes you? You have your own style of charisma. It's your way. Please,
I think,
find and use that.
if I could just add to that too, like, Stephen, you make a good point. I think charisma is a lot of people, we look for, when you're going to watch somebody, you're looking for that. We watch television and we pick our certain shows for a reason. We are entertained, and the charisma adds into some entertainment value. But at the same time, I would say charisma can be explained different ways. Lottie's got a lot of charisma. When I get on there, I like to, hey, and Owen and all that. But, Bridgetti has her own style of charisma. Steven, you have your own style of charisma, right? And I think the biggest part of it is the real part that comes out in us. Instead of, I've often said it's okay to be a copycat as long as you copy a good one. But what I mean by that is, learn from them. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, just be you, put your persona into what you're doing. I mean, it depends on your topic. It depends on a whole lot of things. But I think the key in the charisma still comes from being the real you. Even though there's people that are going to see you that don't really know who you are, it's your character that comes out on the screen. But people can sense a realism to you over fake you. and just keep it real, folks. I really think that's a big part of it. And, we all, depending on who we're talking to, if I'm talking to my mother, I'm talking a certain way. If I'm talking to my dad, I talk a different way. I talk to my wife, I talk to my buddies that I'm having a pint with. I'm all talking at different ways at different times. So understanding your audience is important to your camera confidence, because you want to know what group you're talking to, and that will bring out, and we all have multiple personalities. At least I know I do. So you got to know which personality to use. Yes, I do.
But David's just brought up a brilliant point there as well. It's the different styles of you, and one of the things that I always love talking to people. It's Tina just said, "Just do you." Tina yesterday was talking about the branding with Carol, and talking about the branding of how you look. That's for your brand of you, the setup. Yes, be pro in that imagery. But when you come to here, you can come. I'm always talking about camera-ready face, no makeup on. If you've been in tears, whatever it is. But as you said, it's the multiple personalities, but it's matching. It's congruence. All of us are always talking about this as trainers, speaker trainers. Congruence to the words that you're saying and the look and feel. Because you see a kid who wants a sweetie, a lollipop. It's like, please, can I have it? No, I want it now. Oh, go on, give me that lollipop. I deserve it. They stop and change like this. So can we. So match the mood to that style of you. As David said, if it's your mates down the bar having a pint, if it's with a lovely group of coffee ladies that Bridgetti or I, or Stephen might be having a coffee with, it might be a different mood that you talk to those people. So remember times in your real life that you really, really felt that way. If you think you can't bring that charisma in this style to screen and that side of you, just go back, get a pen and paper, make notes about when in my life did I really feel that way. And if it brings you to tears, it brings you to tears, and that's okay. Bridgetti, sorry, I know I interrupted you there. Sorry about that.
Not at all. The other thing I want to mention about camera confidence is gaining confidence in the with the tools that you use. Now, we used the analogy earlier of learning to ride a bicycle and learning to drive a car, for example. So when you first get into the car and you're learning how to drive, you've got this overwhelming sense that the car is just going to go on its own, and that the car's got a mind of its own, and that you clutch onto the steering wheel for dear life because you think that this car is just going to run away, until you learn to relax and you start holding the steering wheel a lot more comfortably, and you don't fret so much. But now, when you're learning to drive a car, there's a whole lot of dynamics involved in you becoming a confident driver. You've got to learn how that car works. And by the time you become a confident driver, if you're doing a stick shift gears, by the time you're a confident driver, you don't give any thought to that any longer. You're just doing it on autopilot. You don't think about hitting the brakes, hitting the accelerator, watching your rear view mirror, watching the sides, paying attention to the traffic lights. You start doing all that stuff on autopilot because you've learned with time and practice, and your overall skills as a driver has become honed. So you don't think of all those individual aspects anymore. And so I find a lot of people, when they start out, today we're using BeLive TV with some amazing aspects and abilities to enhance your on-camera persona and your show value as a whole. And so people will say, I can't pay attention to the camera. And then there's the comments and bringing that person on to, deciding who's going to be full screen or who's not going to be full screen. Practice, 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 practice. The same as it is when you're driving a car. Don't get hung up on it. It will happen. Just keep going. As David mentioned earlier, if you stop that practice, you're not going to get very far. Just keep going and you'll get better and better and better with time. Rome wasn't built in one day. You didn't become a great driver in just one day. It took a period of time. So just accept that when you start live streaming, it's going to take a period of time, but you will get there.
Stephen, I remember, on that note, sorry, David, Stephen, I remember, Stephen, you back in Blab days years ago saying you learnt by watching other people, and you learned from, as David said, I always say, take the best, leave the rest. I was taught that by speaker trainers years ago. But Stephen, you said that you learnt as well by being a guest on somebody else's show. And as we know, our fave RJ always says, be the viewer you want to see, leave the comments. Kelly's just left a great thing if you want to interact with people. Prizes and giveaways are always there. And I love that Beauty Biz TV said earlier, who decides whether you're charismatic or not? I can't decide that, make that decision. You, the viewer, makes that decision for me. Stephen, what was it that you felt you developed by being a guest on other people's shows?
Thank you, Lottie. The thing about Blab was the community, and we've still got it here now. And it was a sense of community, people coming together, and I enjoyed watching the people's shows. And I was just sat there in an audience of one, watching Phil Aston from Cornwall. And he said, if you want to join me on camera, and he was only talking to me, come on. So I went on camera. And before I knew it, I was actually on camera speaking to Phil. And from that day, it's always been just the people who are actually in the room with you that I'm concentrating on. So I'm concentrating on what the three of you are saying all the time throughout this four-way conversation. And that's the way that I've looked at it. There are people watching us, and very grateful for that. But you've got to concentrate on what you're doing at the moment. And you've got to know what you're talking about as well. I think that's part of it. You've got to have a passion for what you're talking about. And that passion comes from, it just is. Passion is the most amazing thing in the world. And if you're passionate about tech, then you can come and talk about tech. If you're passionate about bots, you can come and talk about bots. If you're passionate about community, then you can just sit the two of you on a Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern and just chat away for an hour. And people join in.
I'm here. That's a good point that you were reading my mind there, Stephen. about, talk about what you know about. Stephen and I have been doing a show for coming up 2 years. We've learned a lot from each other and how each other operates, and one knows when to talk and the other quiet, that sort of thing. But I'm at a Zoom conference here right now, about an hour from where I live, and we're talking about tourism, but how to attract and everything. So we had a panel of experts up on the stage that I just left to come do this. There was 4 of them up there, and one of them was introduced sitting down, and she was the first one that got asked a question. They had a big interactive questions up on that you could send them, text them your questions, that sort of thing. And she was the first one to get asked a question, and she was like, "So just so you know, I'm really nervous about being up here. I'm not very good, and I was told by my boss that I had to come do this today and sit in front of, there's about 400 people sitting in a room." Here's what happened, though. Once she got talking about what she knows, which was tourism and certain specifics about that industry, she forgot that she was on stage, and she became so relaxed and just did a wonderful 45 minutes. She didn't talk the whole 45 minutes. There was more up there. But when she got talking, all of a sudden it just went away, because she knew what she was talking about in her field, and she was very confident in what she was talking about because it's what she does, right? So, Stephen really brings up a good point when saying, talk about what. Now, if you're interviewing guests, I do that all the time. I get a little bit of background on them. Sometimes it's an advantage to not know everything about their topic. I know enough to ask some questions. I'm not the expert. It's not about me. I'm talking. So Bridgetti, can you tell me about the water crisis? Because I've heard of this thing, but I don't really know. And then they become the expert next. You're just the mutual between you and the audience. If you're doing a solo, that's totally different. But talk about what you don't pretend to be something you're not, right? I don't talk about cars because I don't know anything about them.
Neither do I, David. I don't talk about cars. I stick to what I know.
I drive them. That's about it. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point that you bring up.
Yeah, know your niche and focus on your niche. And, be you, because people will also sense whether you are genuine or whether you are fake. Authenticity is the greatest gift you can give to yourself and give to your audience. Because if people don't sense that you are bringing yourself to the table, you will lose your audience. And, audience engagement is what we all after. I want to tell you something interesting. I was watching, I don't know if you know, and I've almost forgot her name. Oh my goodness, I forgot her name. But she had her first debut live on LinkedIn Live yesterday. And I can see this woman, she's got green hair. And I just cannot get to her name.
Green hair.
My goodness.
Green.
Yeah, that's her trademark. She's got green hair. And she started off saying, no, it's
Jenny?
not Jenny.
No.
Her surname is Chan. And she started off the conversation by saying she cannot believe how many people when they finally meet her in real life, the first thing they want to do is touch her hair. It's like, is it real or is it a wig? And she says she felt quite overwhelmed.
I can't think of her name either. But can I ask? Did I hear you really say? I've been talking about it for the last 3 years. Did I hear you say LinkedIn Live?
Yes. So
it happened?
It has happened. It has happened. There are select few people in the US that's got it. But the thing about her live, I watched Chris Strubb also did his debut, and he did a fantastic job, an absolutely sterling job. And so this lady yesterday, and I wish I could remember her name, it's on the tip of my tongue. But she had, talk about a huge audience. Just fathom this. If we get to the point where we have 100 concurrent viewers, we want to know, like, Oh my goodness, this is like big news. Oh my word, you will not believe this woman had 950 concurrent live viewers. 950. She
Wow.
has had over 10,000 views of her live stream, and she had over 1,000 live comments in her live stream. So LinkedIn Live is going to be phenomenal. And I want to sort of say to everybody, before you get LinkedIn Live, jump onto Facebook Live. You know, I mean, if you're in business, this platform here is business to consumer. But if you want to hit hard in the business community, because LinkedIn is B2B, get used to being
Bridgetti,
live
sorry.
on Facebook right now.
Yeah, but sorry, Bridgetti, I actually disagree, because there's a lot of chat here in Ireland right now about women and the UK and Europe. Women go live on Facebook, men send their videos to LinkedIn. Hence, I've been saying, when is LinkedIn live? I think we all need to remember, where are our viewers, what our knowledge, skills, and what the information that we're sharing. As David said, you need to be the expert in your area, the expert in your field, and you need to own that. But you also need to study it, work it, watch other people who are experts in that, pick up. And as you'll see me say, thank you, Robert Stern, by the way, for sharing. It's Goldie Chan. He put that into the comments there. Quote other people who've given you information. As a professional speaker, it is highly unethical and highly unprofessional to say, oh, I said that, when other people know darn well that, no, I heard that from over there. Now, as a trainer and speaker and a coach yourself, when you hear other people saying you and not commenting you just have to go, hey, it's flattery. Take it as a form of flattery that people feel that your knowledge and skills and information is so worthwhile sharing, they've taken it as their own. Laugh it off. We've all, going back to what we said at the very beginning, David, and we were saying as well about fun, and Stephen bringing in, having a laugh. I always talk about being flawsome. Have your flaws, do them awesome. I got that from somewhere else years ago, about 10 years ago, and I can't remember where. That didn't come from me, but I use it as the hashtag #BeFlawsome. But that's bringing the fun, bringing the fun. And I called my company Press Play Presentations, because I wanted to bring people the permission so you can come on here and play when you know your stuff you want to say.
Yeah.
That's key. You have to own it, do it with a purpose. And if you're feeling scared or unconfident, I got a lovely tip from a lady who was my guest last Friday. She inspires me because she's in her wheelchair. I said to Bridgetti, I want her, Bridgetti, who sometimes can't leave home because of pain, and Fiona's in her wheelchair, and yet she's doing fundraising for so many different projects. She does so much for free. She said to me, Lottie, as a professional speaker, I was told, hold on to your own hands. But she was doing it out here in front of her. She says, I did this on stage, not the whole time, but in front of my face, I brought my hands together as if I'm bringing myself to my heart. I said to her, great on stage, but on camera, this is blocking the access of your viewer to your face. So on camera, a nicer way of doing this is bring it back to you. And if you hold things up, bring them to you, hug it to you. If you hold things up, this is one of my favorite books I'm reading at the moment. Hold it next to your face.
I'm going to go full screen. I'm going full screen, Lottie. And I'll take the time. Bring it on screen again.
This is a gross publicity for my friend Kira, because this is, to me, I've got this in my, what we call the loo here. Your toilette and the bath, rise before your bull. Because confidence, if fear comes from in here, confidence comes from in here too. It's your bull that rises, that stops you doing whatever it is you want to do. So that's her book. It's stories from South Africa, Bridgetti. So you'll love some of the stories in there as well about the tribes people and where she got her ideas, meeting Robin Sharma in Africa as well. So it's connect with the people, own your expertise, but learn and share and make it fair.
Love it.
That's good.
I know. I was just remembering when you were talking about, you know, recognizing other people. I don't know if you know, Mitch Jackson always ends all his conversations online with "Make Today Your Masterpiece." And I commented and I said to him, I absolutely love that, I love the phrase. And he said, well, I'm going to tell you it was not actually my phrase. And he told me who the original person is that started this "Make Today Your Masterpiece." So he didn't claim to, that it was his own. He recognized the person who started that. But we all know him, and we associate "Make Today Your Masterpiece" with Mitch Jackson.
Yeah.
Michael Bublé was on a TV show in the UK. You might have seen it, Stephen, saying, hey, if you steal from one person, that's stealing. But if you borrow from everybody, that's imitation. And it becomes your own style.
Imitation.
I love that. Rock God.
Yeah. Imitation is a serious form of flattery. I think the beauty of it is, though, that we're in an environment on live video, and it's been since we got involved, an area in which people cooperate. Apart from the occasional barb, which is made in fun, people do actually step up and help each other freely. There is no side at all within the live streaming community. I think it's awesome that everybody works together.
Well, yeah, and I'll help you, but I'm not going to give you all my secrets. No, you're right. There's the word community keeps coming up. I'm as Stephen knows, Bridgetti knows, Lottie, you may. So I'm part of the Twitch world as well, right? And which is a great opportunity for people. And Stephen and I were talking the other day about, and to bring this back into confidence. Some people jumped into the Twitch world and then they stopped. And I think they had a different perception of what it might be. But I would encourage people who've done that to go back, because that's that learning thing again, is you give it more time, spend time browsing around and checking it out before you go live. And that comes with the camera confidence wherever you go live, is check things out. Spend time watching others. Bridgetti mentioned that earlier too, right? Observe others and take notes from that. That's what I meant when I say it's okay to be a copycat as long as you copy a good one. Like when you hear phrases and you want to share them, but say, I heard it from Jeff Olson said, or Stephen Covey said, or Lottie said, and I really like that, because that helps you build your community as well. And I think part of the camera confidence issue too is when we're going live, we tend to look at that little viewership number in the top left corner or wherever it might be. And when it says 0, you tend to like, well, who am I talking to? Why am I I feel stupid talking to myself. And if it's 1, then, it's your wife or your husband or your mother, because they didn't have a choice but to be there. Turn that viewer number off and act like there's 100 people watching.
That is easier said than done. As I said, the way I treated it, when it keeps flashing at you, it's basically, I look at it as the 4 of us are talking in the room now. We're next to each other virtually. We can have a discussion, and at this point in time, the only people who matter to us are the people who are actually watching live. And because we've been sort of giving our experience, I've been remiss a bit on the comments. Can you explain this to me, David? Fat Albert?
Fat Albert.
No,
hey, it's Fat. I don't know. I don't know.
All right.
Okay. Hey, it's Robert C. Stern. He always goes, hey.
Oh, hey. Oh, yeah, there you go. Well, that's Kelly talking to Robert. They're having their own conversation out there. I'm mobile, so I can't see all these comments.
You can't see them.
All right.
So you guys could make comments about me, and I wouldn't know.
Not that we would.
Listen, I've got to jump out of here a little bit early, and I apologize for that. So I'll just take one more moment here to reiterate. Folks, just do it. Be like Nike. Just do it. Be like Yoda. No try. Only do. Whatever. You don't go through it. You grow through it. Start. If you don't, I promise you that if you don't start, you will fail. Guaranteed.
David, just before you go quickly, because I wanted to get into, because it's always the fears that stop us. what are some of the crazy fears that you've heard from students that you know you've got answers to, but they simply have to still go through to overcome the fears?
Yeah, well, fear of, okay, but fear of what, right? Fear of being judged. You know, others, you know, we walk around, even when wherever we are, we walk around, fear of being judged. Easier said than done as well. But, like, who cares, man? Lottie, let me ask you a question. Are you going to pay my mortgage this month?
I'd love to if I could, David. Somebody said to me, what would you do with $10 million?
So the answer is no, you're not going to pay my mortgage.
If I had the $10 million, I'd help you out, David.
Bridgetti, will you pay my cell phone bill this month?
If I could, I would, but I'm not able to.
Yeah. Steven, would you make my car payment for me this month, please?
I'd do anything for you, David. You know that. But in this particular case...
What's that book called?
In this particular case, sorry?
Here's the point. You're not paying my mortgage. You're not paying my car payment. So if you don't like something about me or you're judging me, who cares? We all are so concerned about what people think about us. And don't get me wrong. I care that my wife likes me. I care that my children, and I care that you guys like me. But at the end of the day, if you don't like the color of shirt I'm wearing, and that's why you're not watching, or my hair's out of place, or you don't like my accent, or whatever, who cares? Stop worrying about what other people think, because here's the thing. Chances are they're not even thinking about what you're thinking they're thinking about. You're making it all up in your head. The other fear is... And Lottie, you talked about it, you know, I go back to the old answering machine days of if you record your voice and you play it back, you go, oh my God, that doesn't sound like me. But the person sitting next to you goes, what are you talking about? That's exactly what you sound like. And you're like, oh my God, I sound horrible all the time, you know, and then you start creating all this. Don't worry about what other people think. It doesn't matter what other people think. The importance of the viewers to you is that they matter to you, and that what you're delivering to them, you're building a relationship and you're having an impact. You're not going to impact everybody. If you're talking about cars, I'm sorry, David Burrows is not watching you because I'm not interested. That's okay. Just be you, be natural, have fun, sing if you have to sing, or say hey,
It's at this point
like
that we interrupt our broadcast.
But does that make sense what I'm saying? Just relax and have a good time. I'm not a male
David,
Molly Mahoney.
It makes so much sense that if and when you're ever over in the UK or Ireland,
I'm in the lobby of a hotel. People are looking at me like, what is that guy doing over there? Who's he talking to and who's he singing to?
He's lying up.
Hi, Dave Burrows. Nice to meet you. Anyway,
I think after we've all been sycophantically willing to pay David's bills this month, we should probably let him go and earn his money.
Yeah, okay, David.
Do that.
See you again soon.
See you, David.
Thank you all.
Cheers,
Bye-bye.
David.
Oh, I want to share a stage with that man one day. He speaks exactly my language. I've been speaking for the last 20 odd years. Loving it, loving it, loving it.
And he's got an accent too, hasn't he?
Yeah,
He doesn't think he has.
You just took the words out of my mouth, Steven Healey. I was thinking the exact same thing. I'm thinking, you know what? You've got a distinct English accent to me, Steven and Lottie. You've got an accent. But when I listen to David, he sounds like somebody local to me. I don't hear any accent in his voice at all. I know that may sound crazy to you, but to me, he sounds like someone that lives next door to me. No accent. How crazy is it we had the same thought at the same time?
That's synchronicity.
That's
the way a lot of things work.
That's the joy of it for both of you doing that. I'm laughing about he doesn't want to do it in a car, and then in my brain, the back of my brain was going, oh, but he'd like to hear about a boot, because that's the Canadian joke, is saying a boot in the accent. But for me, Bridgetti, if I'm talking to my Northern English people, I might go a little bit northern when I'm talking to them up north. Or if I'm chatting with my Australian mates, suddenly I'm going a little bit Australian. And if I'm talking to my little sister in New Zealand, suddenly I'm totally New Zealand. And then if I talk to my cousin bros, some people say, you're talking to your Maori accent friends, where you talk in the Wairarapa, and then people say that sounds a little bit South African. And so my husband Steve always says, oh, it's your Welsh accent, is it? Thank you. but
I want to just pick up on what...
Sorry, Bridgetti.
What I want to pick up quickly on what David was saying earlier, and I almost lost my train of thought here. Oh my goodness. I forgot what I was going to say.
It's okay.
I totally forgot what I was going to say.
We'll catch up with the comments. And David says, Sarah's saying that David says, have fun, be yourself, and sing if you want to. That's fine. That's good.
Sarah will always sing.
Yeah. And great advice, says Chuck, from everybody. So it's all good. And Beauty saying, fear is my failure to punctuate and end a thought.
Ooh,
I remembered now what I wanted to say.
The floor is yours.
That comment reminded me what I was wanting to say. David was talking about the fear of what people may think. And I think when we start out, we have this overwhelming fear of what will my neighbors think? What will my co-workers think? What will my family think? What will my business associates think of me? And we worry about that, and it holds us back. That fear of what other people think holds us back. Now, I had that fear when I started, make no mistake. But you know what? I was amazingly surprised to learn that once I started talking to people were so supportive. It just blew me out of the water. People were amazing. They were like, wow. They were absolutely in awe of the fact that I had the gumption or the courage or the knowledge to go live. And so I realized that all that fear was just in my head. It wasn't actually real. There was no big monster, because initially you feel like, there's this monster that's going to jump out of the camera and bite you. But it's all that fear just resides in your head, nowhere else. And that's the truth of it.
There, Bridgetti, you're talking about the camera being the monster. When I first start off, I always get people into the mind of the machine. I call it the mean machine, and the fact that it's the fears that are all around us, fears that are planted all around us, like Trump in America and people in Brexit in the UK are all talking about, oh, we're sick of experts. No, people aren't. When it's an expertise they want to know more about. And hence the question of asking about what fears. I'd love to think both of you while I'm chatting about number one fears that you've heard from other people. Because the old acronym that's been around for years and years and years, probably so many people claim it, we can't even remember who first started, is that fear, F-E-A-R, is fictional evidence appearing real. So I always think of if fear comes from here, confidence is from in here too. So if it's fictional evidence appearing real, we need to con the fictional evidence. That's con, fear, dense. So it can all come from your bubble within here. And I talk about the judgment devil be gone. Let your perception angel. That's why, as I said earlier, get the piece of paper and write down what are the words that perception-wise other people could use to describe you when you're talking about this one item here. Because it may be a different word you want to describe you when you talk about this item over here. You might want to be a little bit more energetic, is the word. If it's sincere that you might want. As an actor, I had to learn to do all of these skills. I did my hours and hours of learning how to be and really inhabit that feeling. If you're ever afraid of, I don't know which part of me to bring, everybody says, but be the real you, but I don't know which part of me to bring on screen, is bring the bit that feels true to you when you're talking about that one piece of expert knowledge? Serve, share, and shine, as Tina was saying earlier. Serve, share, and shine. Know what you want to serve, share it well, and shine with the people who are watching you out there, please.
There's one more aspect that I was just thinking of while you were speaking, Lottie, and that is one of the things that holds people back from getting started, and also on their journey towards confidence, is they think that everyone else is already doing what they are wanting to talk about, or everyone else is already sharing a similar expertise to theirs. Don't let that hold you back, because you bring, even if you covering the same subject that 100 other people are doing, and the analogy I'm going to use here is, if you take hairdressers, hair salons, there are thousands upon thousands of hair salons out there. But do you think that's going to hold anyone else back from entering the profession? No way, Jose, because you bring your particular way of dealing with your clients, your particular style of cutting hair, you bring that to the table. And it's the same thing with live streaming. Even if there's 100 people that talk about lawnmowers, if that's your field, don't let that hold you back, because you bring you to the table, your particular flavor, and your tribe or your followers that resonate with your particular style is going to find you, and they're going to follow you loyally the way that you follow your hairdresser.
My mind's going to blank, but I think it's coming back now. Right, you asked us basically, with practice, most people can actually go live. And the proof of that is a gentleman called Steve Davis, who's a snooker player in the UK. And because he was so good, world champion several times, but he was boring. He didn't like being interviewed.
Steve Interesting Davis, Stephen.
Indeed, Steve Interesting Davis was the name that he got because he was so boring. Brilliant on the snooker table, boring off it. And he was, people turned away. Now he's one of the biggest pundits on snooker. He's on television all throughout the winter. He has a personality. His personality shines through, and people listen to every word that he says because it's coming from his experience and his knowledge and his passion for playing snooker. So if Steve Interesting Davis can become interesting, anybody can. Right now, I know time-wise we're running low, so we'd like to speak about the challenge.
Just a quick joke before you do it. Go on, just a quick joke before we get to calls to action, because we didn't get to speak about calls to action. I love the way Bridgetti was talking about hairdressers and lawnmowers, and I was going, was she looking at my haircut or yours, Stephen? And then
not mine.
Davis when she's talking about Stephen, but I love the fact that
I just want to, I've got my own piece.
Super interesting superstar Healey is going to lead us to our calls to action. Because that's the key learning. No matter your lack of confidence or your size of confidence, there is no point doing this without a purpose, and every purpose has a call to action. So, Stephen, please give us our call to action for today.
Right. Before, I just want to carry on with the talking about hair for a moment, because it is sort of topic. I broadcast with Cheryl every week. And I hadn't noticed that her hairstyle had changed. And she brought it up and said, it must be a man thing. She said, if I go on broadcasting with Bridgetti and Lottie, they'll all be talking about my new hairdo. Men don't do it. And well, there you go. Right, we're coming to close the show now. It's been wonderful to have you with us here today. And thank you for all your comments. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Just bring it full screen for a second. Bridgetti will be joined by Linda West and by Cheryl Piper, and 10 a.m. Eastern again is the time, and we look forward to seeing you there. I'll be in the producer's seat. It's been brilliant today, and for closing, not arguments, because we never argue, we're actually all on the same page, which is quite wonderful. Bridgetti, your closing thoughts.
my closing thought is be you, be yourself. Realize that it's okay to feel nervous in the beginning. We all did. It is a learning curve, but if you could learn to drive a car, you can learn to have on-camera confidence. And don't let anything hold you back. If your subject is talked about by 100 other people out there, just bring yourself to the table and be you.
Right, I'm going to go next because I want Lottie to close. I just want to say thank you to Lottie. I'm reading Lottie's book because she knows everything there is to know about camera confidence, and she's my mentor in that. And if you check out on Amazon and you check out Lottie Hearn, you'll find her book. I can only say it's well worth investing in that, because you're actually investing in yourself and you're learning from somebody who actually teaches. I mean, I remember a couple of weeks back, Lottie brought somebody on the show and did a live class, and it was just simply amazing. So I introduced to you for the last time today the amazing Lottie Hearn, and Lottie, it's over to you.
I'm feeling a bit like kind of, oh, we're not worthy. But hey, thank you, Stephen, for that, and Bridgetti for your comments there as well. It's so true. I have been doing this for years. I started as a drama queen, once a drama queen, always a drama queen. And as I'm seeing Stephen Robert popping up there, Gospel saying thank you, Robert saying be you again. It is the number one thing. But please remember, when you have the fears, leave them over there. Con that fictional evidence. But be aware you need to share. You need to review. You need to look back. See the learning path, the journey, as they're always saying in programs like The X Factor. See yourself as a constantly growing, constantly moving, constantly shifting, moving you. With your knowledge and skills that you have right now, you're doing the best that you can. And I got that from a 7-time world champion marathon swimmer friend of mine. So share with confidence too. Go back and watch Monday. You can get 5 fantastic tools from Stephen, Bridgetti and RJ. Confidence in your production. Confidence in the tools you use. Be live Bridgetti said it on Monday. Learn to use Be Live first. Learn how to practice with yourself. Go live to your own private space. Then connect in to grow your community. But most of all, remember that you are here for a reason and a purpose. If you want to have a purpose, there's International Women's Day this Friday. Woohoo! All around the world, whether you're a man or a woman, we always love to celebrate that ladies go live. It's ladies who go live and the men who support us, like Stephen does. So Jeff has been one of our founding members from the very beginning. Whole wealth of knowledge and experience, and we've set up a 5 days challenge where every day you can get topics, you can get video help, you can get bonus support, but it challenges you to go live for 5 days. If you can't do it, start and go live on International Women's Day for whatever reason that may be. But always have a call to action at the end of it. What do we do as a result of watching you? And that result, hopefully, is doing something that creates a reason and a purpose for people who are there with you. So please, go live, grow live, thrive live, grow live when you ultimately can, but do it for a reason and a purpose. Mic dropping, that's it.
Okay, bye from Wiltshire.
Bye from Cape Town.
Bye all.
Right, we'll see you all again soon. Bye, and thank you.